Hello and welcome back to another Star Citizen video. Today we're going to take a look at the Guardian MX. Now the question is, which ship on my list would be the king of PvE? That's right, we're gonna also not say review, but because I've got with the latest introduction of a heavy fighter, the Guardian MX, I'm gonna do a little bit more because when it comes to combat ship, there's really nothing much to talk about other than saying how much DPS does it output, how good the maneuverability is, and that's about it. Really. So before we begin, like, subscribe, hit the notification button and help this channel grow. And of course, the number one PSA is you do not need to buy any of this shit with real money. All you need is a starter pack. Okay, that's it. That's the only PSA, right? So now let's talk about ship. Is it worth shipping for the Guardian MX? Now, the Guardian MX is based on I would say, a very, very good baseline chassis, which is the Guardian chassis or the Guardian Hull, depending how you want to say it. I think I'll use Hull because I started with that and Star Citizen started with that. It's a Hull variant on the Guardian platform or the Guardian Hull. I messed that up. And so what is the difference between the base Guardian and the Guardian MX? So the Guardian MX did actually get rid of livability in the ship, which is one of the main perks of why I pick the Guardian in general. But it trades off, right? So trade off its livery with 4 size 4 weapon hardpoint, and that is a good thing, right? I like when it's even out, right? Like, for example, 4 size 3 on the Aegis Saber, 4 size 4 for the Guardian. It is easier for me to plan out. The downside is because it's 4 size 4, which means you need to find 4 size 4s. Whereas some ships, like 1 size 2, 2 size 3, and 1 size 5, right? You can have a little bit of variety, a little bit more, but then again, I prefer everything to be the same, right? So 4 size 4, easy to outfit. And on top of it, by having 4 size 4 weapon hardpoint, unfortunately, you give up I would say, the selection of missiles with a bespoke size 2 missile rack. And I won't say it's a big deal, okay? First thing first, nobody picks the Guardian in general for missiles. It's all pew-pewness. And that's the whole idea about it. Now the question is, does 4 size 4 outperform 2 size 5? That's the number one question, because for me, I believe, in fact, actually, I would say straight up, the base Guardian is really, really contending on the number one spot for the best, or rather my go-to best PvE combat ship, because it has it has everything I need for a combat ship. It has livery, which means I can do long range mission if I want to. It has enough firepower. 2 size 5 is nothing to scoff off. You can put a lot of DPS downrange if you want. When you hit, especially when you hit, it is painful. 2 size 5 is, I would call it a burst DPS or alpha DPS, whereas the Guardian MX is more of a sustained DPS ship. So in this case, you actually want to ask yourself, do you want to just sustain fire, or you want something that just fly around, take pot shots here or two, and then if it lands, it deals a lot of damage? If the answer is the latter, then latter. All right, if you want more damage per shot, then the base Guardian is your pick. If you want more sustained DPS for more, I would say, of an endurance match, how do I put it this way? If you want to stay on the battlefield a little bit longer, no. There is a big difference between burst shot and sustain. But I'll put it this way, aesthetically. If you want to hear more pew pew, the Guardian MX. Okay, straight up, the Guardian MX is a good pick. Now, when I say good pick, because it is It's because of the price tag. Unfortunately, it's because of the price tag. So before we go there, we want to see who is our contender for the Mirai Guardian MX. And let's go to the DPS calculator. The number one ship on my list is the F7CM Super Hornet Mark II, because since we don't have livery on board, then we can compare to a lot of combat ships out there. One of the best combat ship, in fact, this one, I'm a little bit biased. I love the F7CM Super Hornet Mark, not say Mark II, but the Super Hornet Mark 1. However, the Mark II is a little bit better. You got way more DPS over here, although it's, what you call this? It's loadout is definitely different. So we're gonna switch everything to yeah, we're gonna switch everything to the correct size weapon, pure lasers only, because we cannot compare if we don't compare apple to apple per se. M6A, size 4. One thing good about the Super Hornet, because you get a beefy size 5 turret up here, which is crazy good. Okay, so if we take the normal one, is size 3, size 4, which I don't want. I want to grab just this guy. Oh, it's bespoke. There we go. It's 2 size 3? I don't remember. Okay, scattergun, no. M5s, M5s. And we're gonna just remove this, leave empty. And yeah, we can't put anything. It's a missile rack. Okay, so in this case, 2394 DPS, assuming the Super Hornet can sustain it, because it's going to be painful on the power plant. One size 2, although it's the same as the Guardian, I just realized size 2, but we need a lot of more information on that. We're gonna just remove this guy, leave empty, there we go. 2400 DPS. If we go to the Guardian MX, all size 4, we're gonna switch this away, because normally I like to do for the Guardian MX is to have split weapon system, and that's why having all size 4, it's easier to manage. I can have 2 lasers and 2 Gatling Revenants, right, ballistic. And in this case, Guardian is 2200 or 2003. In this case, yes, the Super Hornet on paper deals a little bit more DPS, whereas the Guardian deals a little bit less. But the Guardian, I think it's much more, I would say, friendlier when it comes to DPS, because you have one size 2 power plant. If this is a bit hard though, a little bit hard, right? A little bit hard. If this is a size 3, then it's like fantastic, but obviously size 3 is a bit too much. 2 size 2 shields, which is literally way better than the Super Hornet. Super Hornet is 3 size 1, and we have 2 size 1 cooler, whereas the Guardian MX has 1 size 2 and 1 size 1, 1 size 2 cooler, which means the Guardian, in practicality, I can deal a little bit more sustained DPS. And that's it. Actually, that's, yeah. Ammo and regen efficiency, this is on the green, this yellow, yeah. To have Super Hornet to sustain all lasers, it's gonna be a short burst, whereas the Guardian definitely can sustain a little bit longer, which is great. Unfortunately, also another thing, the Guardian MX does suffer a little bit on maneuverability if we were to compare to the base Guardian, right? It suffers, which is, although it rolls, no, it suffers, because even the Super Hornet is definitely way better. So in this case, the Guardian MX is on a weird spot. As much as I like to recommend, unfortunately, stats wise, practicality wise, the Guardian MX doesn't really have an edge compared to the base Guardian. Compared to the Super Hornet, the Guardian MX definitely has a little bit more edge when it comes to sustained fire. And in this case, if you want a Super Hornet, the Guardian MX is definitely a way better pick. Problem comes to the price tag. At the end of the day, price tag still remains supreme, or I would say the deal breaker. Yeah, the deal breaker. Guardian MX, $290. If you get the Warborn edition, it's $270. That is the most expensive medium ship. Because the Super Hornet is at a cool $240. Where are you? Super Hornet Mark II, 240. That is like, yeah, sign me up. I'd rather pick the Super Hornet. Sure, I might not get enough sustained DPS versus the Guardian MX, but there we go. And if you don't want the Super Hornet platform, that's okay. The Guardian is still a good pick. The base Guardian, no matter how I put it, the base Guardian is definitely a good pick at $250. That's cheaper. And to top it off, the base Guardian has a livery, basically has a bed and some amenities on board, which is like the perfect ship for me if I were to choose a combat ship. And with this being said, I know the next competitor for the Guardian in general is the Vanguard Warden. And let's grab up the Vanguard Warden, because we're gonna put this to the final, I would say the final tier list. No. Or rather, what would I pick? Would I pick the Warden over the Guardian? Or in this case, the Vanguard Warden is actually not bad. Alright. Versus the Guardian, the Warden definitely does a little bit more output, and it has a man turret. It has livability for 2 people. It has 1 size 2, 2 size 2, 2 size 2 arcs. You know what? The Warden remains supreme. Oh my goodness. The Warden still remains supreme. I can even change the blade if I want to, but no, we don't care about that. Burst 3000. Burst 3000. Burst 4000. Okay, that's cool. Auto gimbal. This is lock. Auto gimbal lock. Auto gimbal. Okay, fair enough. So Guardian is more of a burst? Did I got it wrong if that's the case? So on paper, Guardian says it's more of a burst ship rather than a sustain. Wow, no, color me surprised. Because I set up the Guardian differently, the Guardian MX, right? 2 ballistic, 2. Okay, you know what? Fair enough. All right, so probably it is setup dependent as well. And with that, you know what? I think we can have a proper, I would say, PvE combat tier list. Number 1 pick, unfortunately, it's none of the Guardian ships. It still belongs to the Vanguard Warden. When it comes to PvE combat ship, sure, you might not get maximum DPS, so we're gonna remove this, leave empty. Still at 2200, mainly because the Vanguard Warden has a one size 5 and 4 size 2. Okay, this is bespoke if I'm not mistaken. However, the reason why the Vanguard Warden is the number 1 pick because it has a man turret, so you can bring a friend along. Follow closely by the Guardian. If you predominantly fly solo, sure, the Guardian, and it's cheaper at $250 for the Guardian, $260 for the Vanguard Warden. But for just the extra amenities to accommodate one more friend, that's why the Warden is the number 1 pick. I wouldn't say, actually it's tied in a way, because if you do fly solo, the Warden is just wasted space, whereas the Guardian is just everything you need. However, there's one crucial thing that makes the Guardian a little bit better than the Vanguard series. I will repeat this, although the MX, before we go to that part, the MX unfortunately suffers in terms of price point and no livability. So yeah, there we go. Would I really recommend the Guardian MX? No. With that reason, no. If you're gonna pay with real money, I want you to have the best of both worlds, which is at least you can do long range mission, you can fly around. Of course, it's more combat focused. That's it. That's it. If you really want a combat ship, the MX is not a good pick. In this case, the Guardian is a better pick. And what's better than the Guardian? The Guardian Chi. The Guardian Chi has a quantum dampener. The Mirai Guardian Chi, and it comes in black. The only saving grace I would say for the Guardian MX is because it has a cool no, not this, I think it's Harley Quinn. Yes, it has a very bright color scheme, which I like it, but then again, it's a skin, so I'm not gonna say anything about it. Whereas the typical Guardian, I think it has so-so skin, but it comes with black default for the Guardian Chi. The base Guardian is white and red, and the MX is like factory standard. Yeah, reverse white and black. Panda. Reverse panda. Okay. Yes, Mirai Guardian has a Chi comes with for the missile rack. No. There we go. The Guardian Chi has a quantum dampener. And why this is better than EMP? Because the Vanguard Sentinel has EMP, although it's $275, a little bit more expensive. Quantum dampener will negate, or rather will disable your enemies. Okay, this is mainly for people who wants to do PvP, okay? You basically, your enemy cannot quantum jump away if it's activated. Simple as that. And that makes the Guardian Chi my number one pick overall. Overall number one pick. Because in general, at the end of the day, I would say, not to say you don't have any friends to fly along, the rate of you having friends to fly along is you probably have 2 ships. That's how I'm gonna put it, right? You most likely will bring 2 ships versus 1 ship, and 2 ships is better than 1. And if one of those ships is a Guardian Chi with a quantum dampener, great. Your enemy cannot run away. Your target cannot run away. And then if you bring another ship which has an EMP, that's like a double, I would say, wombo combo. So you can bring a Guardian Chi out and a Warden if you want to. A Vanguard Sentinel. Yeah, that's like double the firepower, literally. So, yes. With that being said, the Guardian Chi is the number one pick, followed by the Warden, then Base Guardian, and then the Guardian MX. Unfortunately, the price point and everything, does it really make the cut? It is probably top 5. Okay, because I'm a little bit biased, definitely Super Hornet Mark II is up there. So it's gonna be Guardian Chi, Vanguard Sentinel or Warden, depends which one. Either way, it's still lower than the Guardian Chi because of the quantum dampener, and it's cheaper for Guardian Chi. Base Guardian, so that's number 3. Oh, you know, I can't really do that way because the Warden and the Sentinel is too... it's tough. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna end with this. Unfortunately, the Guardian MX is way too expensive to be a daily driver. You're much better off with a base Guardian or a Guardian Chi. Yup. And that I will end with, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification button, and help this channel grow. Until then, I will see you guys in the next Star Citizen video. Fly dangerous, my friends, and I'll see you in the verse. Yup. Yup. You know what? I think we have the definitive, I won't say tier list, but my go-to recommendation. Guardian Chi, best combat ship to date. And that's PvE, not PvP. PvP, there's a few arguments here and there, and I don't have enough experience to do that. But then again, Guardian Chi has a quantum dampener, so maybe it's also the best PvP ship.